stress, threat to our safety, and risk to our community's environment that this restlessly proposed and executed project has imposed upon us. And yet tonight is the culmination of tireless efforts from constituents across the Commonwealth to raise their well-founded concerns regarding this project. We have written letters, we have emailed, we have logged thousands of calls to the governor's office. We have submitted a petition of 6,000 signatures. We have met with the governor's staff and administration, visited Harrisburg and held a press conference, and finally, in December, met with Governor Wolf himself. In that meeting, we relayed our concerns of running 3 highly volatile liquid pipelines near 40 schools across the Commonwealth, near nursing homes, near daycares, under the feet of our Little League players, through our library grounds, and through our properties mere feet from our homes. We had one ask of the governor: halt the pipeline to properly yet belatedly assess the unique risk to the dangerous components of these pipelines. Since that meeting, Governor Wolf has not once addressed the very reasonable ask of analyzing the risk forced upon his constituents. Pennsylvanians have also repeatedly turned to legislators and local and state officials looking for intervention and protection. Though our concerns have been met with understanding, with agreement, and with sympathy, the chorus of "our hands are tied" and "we wish we could do more" resonates across the state. Officials have themselves repeatedly turned to Governor Wolf to intervene. Many legislators, townships, and 3 school districts have written letters to our governor asking for an independent risk assessment, astoundingly with no response. The constitutional rights of Pennsylvanians have been valued lower than the profit margins of a private company. We have rights to private property. We have rights to clean water. We have rights to protection of our beautiful land. It is the primary responsibility of every elected official to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens, and yet the highest elected official in this Commonwealth has tragically remained silent as the fundamental rights of his constituents have been trampled on by a corporation. A corporation that, by the way, has been cited 50 times now for repeated unlawful conduct and egregious behavior. He has watched as we have suffered at the hands of Sunoco, a pipeline operator that has the distinction of having the worst safety record in the industry. This is in direct violation of the oath he took the day he became the governor of this great state. And so, on March 20th, members of Del Chesco United traveled to the governor's office to once again meet with him. This time we were met with Capitol Police blocking the reception area, the public reception area. We were even refused the opportunity to speak with the receptionist. It was then that we issued a citizen's notice of probable violation of the Pennsylvania Constitution, violation of his oath, and the will of the people. He was given a summons to appear tonight, and as you can see, I do not believe he is here. He has been absent. He is absent tonight and has been absent throughout this entire project. We come together across the Commonwealth tonight to make sure that residents along the entire route of these 3 natural gas liquids pipelines are heard. Tonight, we will create and record a permanent public record of impact testimony from residents representing multiple counties from across the state. We have a panel of judges representing multiple counties, and they will listen to the testimony and at a later date render a decision if this probable violation is an actual one. I remind everyone here tonight and those that are watching that this is Pennsylvania. This is the land that gave birth to a nation. This is the land of our founding fathers, of Valley Forge, of Brandywine, where our forefathers fought and bled for landowners' rights, and where common citizens like you and like me stood up to an outside force that also sought to take our domestic resources for personal gain. History repeats itself. And today we face the same struggle against seemingly unsurmountable odds. How many times have we been told this pipeline can't be stopped? All the time. How many times have we been told that Sunoco is too big to fight? I hear it a lot. How many times were our forefathers told that England, the most powerful nation in the world, was too big an adversary? Just like the colonies organized and united together at the First Continental Congress to make their voices loud and clear to a king who refused to hear them, townships and counties and school districts across the Commonwealth are today uniting together to make our voices loud and clear to a governor who has refused to hear us. The time has come for the governor to get on the right side of history, on the right side of this issue, and begin fulfilling his duty as governor to represent the interests of the people of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and not that of an out-of-state corporation. This is Pennsylvania. We will not stand for anything less. I would like to begin the hearing. You see we have our panel of judges. I would like to introduce Ashley Haggerty, who will be our MC. She will announce those that are coming to testify in groups of 3. Every person that is testifying will have 3 minutes to speak. We have a timekeeper who will be holding up signals, Maggie, right here. At the 1-minute point, she will hold up. We're going to do a little demonstration just to make sure it's clear. Sorry. So at the 30-second point, she's going to hold up the yellow sign, yes? And then at the 3-minute point, she will hold up time's up. Okay? All right, let's begin. Ashley, would you like to come up?
Our first speakers are Nancy McMullen, Marcia Gentry, and Carrie Gross.
I'm going to submit some evidence that shows what the part of our property that's going to be affected.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nancy McMullen, and I'm nervous. But besides that, my husband and I have lived in a community in Exton called Meadowbrook Manor for more than 43 years. During that time, we've added 2 major additions to our house, and we've replaced most of the turf with landscaping that we created and have maintained ourselves throughout the years. Our lot is approximately 1/3 of an acre. There's an 83-year-old 8-inch pipeline along the back of our property that's located 33 to 50 feet from our house. We were never worried about the proximity of the pipeline or the fact that our kids played near it. As a child, playing in the dirt next to the pipeline was our son's favorite activity. We're pretty sure that's why he became a soil scientist. Anyhow, we knew if petroleum products leaked, the soil could be remediated. Our life in Exton was good. Things have changed since Sunoco entered our lives. We went to an introduction to Mariner East Pipelines at Westchester University. We were shown a map listing only one new pipeline. We were told that it would be running through the neighboring Chester County Library's property, not ours. There would be a second pipeline only if there was a demand for their products. Then the visits from their Percheron land agents began. I told him no amount of money was worth having our property destroyed. He promised our landscape wouldn't be affected because the pipeline would be installed by means of horizontal directional drilling. and we all know how well that works. After repeated refusals to voluntarily sign an easement, we received a letter in October 2015 stating that if we didn't sign, Sunoco would take us to court and we'd receive no compensation. Because the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission had upheld Sunoco's power of eminent domain, we felt we had no choice other than signing. In the 2.5 years since then, we've waited and watched as Sunoco has destroyed properties, polluted wells and streams, and caused sinkholes to develop. The 83-year-old 8-inch pipeline on our property now has a name, Mariner 1, and without our knowledge has been transporting natural gas liquids to Marcus Hook since 2015. Because Sunoco didn't know that Aqua PA, our local water company, has wells at the end of our street, installation of the 16-inch pipeline on our property will be open trench instead of HDD. The fence that separates our property from the library and the mall will be removed for however long it takes Sunoco to install this 16-inch pipeline and another 20-inch pipeline next to it. Our property comprises 131 feet of the 320-mile pipeline route through Pennsylvania. More important than our land that they're taking, they're robbing us of our sense of well-being and the safety of our future and the future of everyone living along Mariner East pipelines. I hope you find Governor Wolf, the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission, and the Department of Environmental Protection guilty of failing to serve and protect. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Up next is Marcia Gentry.
Hi. As she said, I'm Marcia Gentry. I also live in Meadowbrook Manor. In 2015, I lost my dear husband of 46 years. We were living out near Coatesville. I soon came to realize I would need to find a smaller, preferably one-story home that I could live in and maintain more easily on my own in my senior years. In April of 2016, I moved to Meadowbrook Manor. I felt warmly welcomed by my neighbors. I was delighted to find a friendly, walkable community near my church, doctors, and shopping. I knew there was a natural gas pipeline under the Meadowbrook Manor ball field. What I did not know was that that pipeline, designed for natural gas 80 years earlier, may already, and I hear from Nancy, was already, carrying UGLs, which are much more unsafe. I did not know this because Sunoco never notified us residents of the change in procedure. Now they want to greatly expand that project with Mariner 2, bringing additional pipelines very close to our homes, schools, elder care facilities, the library, and mall. The project will also compromise our Whiteland area. Our development is flood prone. This week the water was very, very high. 3 houses have already been removed by FEMA. When trees are removed as planned, our flooding may become much, much worse. 80 years ago, Exton was lightly populated, but that is no longer true. Exton is a lovely place to live, work, and shop, but it is a terrible place for a pipeline. And Sunoco ETP is not a good neighbor. Their project has been characterized by deception, coercion, trespass, shoddy work practices, and risk-taking. They show little concern for the rights and safety of homeowners. Is it any wonder that we don't want them? Huge sinkholes, like the nearby homes on Lisa Drive. These properties are now worthless. Is that what we can expect here in Meadowbrook Manor? The PUC work stoppage came too late to help homeowners on Lisa Drive. Our homes and lots in Meadowbrook Manor are smaller. If we have sinkholes here, our homes will probably disappear. Yes, we have the same karst limestone underlying our development and the aquifer that supplies our public water. We have nothing to gain and everything to lose in Mariner 2. In 2016, I thought I was making a well-thought-out and practical decision in my home purchase. I had a viable plan for my retirement years. I dreamt of creating a lovely garden, an inspiring place for my landscape painting and teaching. But my dream is rapidly becoming a nightmare. In the last 6 weeks, my doctor has had to double my blood pressure medication dosage. I care for my baby granddaughter 2 days a week, and now I question whether she will be safe in the blast zone that Meadowbrook Manor will become. We need an impartial and thorough assessment, and we need protection from Sunoco ETP, whose sole concern is profit, not safety.
Thank you, Marcia. Next up is Carrie Gross, and the next three after that are Denise McCarthy, Craig Stevens, and Rosemary Fuller. We had a request from the audience just to speak closer to the mic so that it's just low volume, so speak as close as you can. Thank you.
Thank you. Is this loud enough? Okay. As she said, my name is Carrie Gross. I am a resident of Whiteland Township up in Marchwood. I live directly across the street from the Mariner East. I have also worked in West Whiteland Township for the past 16 years, and my office is adjacent to a Mariner East. I am a single mom to 3 young children who will all attend Downingtown area school district schools that are all in the blast zone of Mariner East. I first found out about this project in May of 2015 via my neighbors. Sunoco never informed anyone without an easement about the project or the dangers of living so close to these highly volatile liquids. The more that I learned about the project and its dangers, the more involved and educated I became. I was born and raised in Lancaster County. I was brought up in a conservative household and taught to respect my elders and authority figures. I've always been a rule-following and law-abiding citizen. I was a registered Republican, and I naively and somewhat embarrassingly thought that our government was protecting the people. I had my head in the sand and assumed they had our best interests and safety in mind. The Mariner East project has drastically changed my view on our government, and now it feels as though everything I have worked my whole life for is threatened. Not only are 105,000 Pennsylvanians now living in a dangerous blast zone, many of them unknowingly, but we have people getting sick in Western PA from the harmful effects of fracking for this project. I've learned other states and countries are banning fracking, and we are stuck with Governor Wolf, who is focused on fracking and in bed with the oil and gas industry. Water is literally being destroyed. Streams are being polluted. How many trees have been cut down for Mariner East? I've learned that 1 tree can supply oxygen for 4 people. Isn't that reason enough to save a tree? And then there's the environmental concern of plastics, which this dangerous pipeline is being built for. I have personally been working on reducing my plastic use, especially single-use plastics, and I encourage all of you to join me as well. I carry reusable shopping bags now. I stopped buying bottled water and straws. You'll notice we did not buy bottled water for this evening or plastic silverware. There are plenty of ways to start making a difference. If we all cut back on plastic use, there is less demand for plastics and less demand for Mariner East. We are all here tonight because we all strongly oppose Mariner East. Our lives and our environment are at risk so that billionaires like Kelsey Warren of ETP and Jim Ratcliffe of INEOS can get richer. Governor Wolf, I strongly suggest you wake up and make the decision to put the people of Pennsylvania first. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Next up is Denise McCarthy.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Denise McCarthy. I live in Glen Mills. My husband and I have been there about 5 years now. I was born and raised in Delaware County, but we have found our dream home. My husband works hard. We've worked hard all our lives, like all of you have the same. And you get to a point in your life where you think things will start to get a little easier and you'll get to relax and enjoy a bit. And obviously that's not what's happening. It's interesting because there are a couple of things. First of all, on my way up here down 352 and then Boot Road, it's just amazing the devastation that has been allowed to happen. This is the United States of America last time I looked, and when I see this happening to so many people for the sake of corporate profits, it's just incomprehensible to me. I'm angry that this corporation has been allowed to run roughshod through all our communities and neighborhoods, and I'm afraid, quite honestly, because I'm afraid of what's to come if these pipelines should be allowed to come to fruition. It's just, if one more person says to me, oh, it's just another pipeline, I think I'm going to scream. And lastly, I think I'm disappointed in my local politicians, that's not a good word, but I'm very disappointed in my representatives, there you go, who should be standing up for us and should be jumping up and down and try to put a stop to this for all our sakes. And I've found for us in our community that that's not really happening. I know that locally in the, where are we, West Whiteland? Yeah. We have this Senator Dinniman, who's just a rock star, and so thank goodness for him. Anyway, I apologize for not being so prepared, but we all are in the pursuit of the American dream, and anyway, thank you all for coming out. This is heartwarming to see so many people that are kind of with us all, with me, that we all feel the same, so it's really heartwarming to me. Anyway, thank you. Good night.
Thank you so much, Denise. Next up is Craig Stevens.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Craig Stevens. I'm a sixth-generation landowner from Silver Lake Township, Pennsylvania. This is my neighbor's well water. Over 100 of my neighbors live with plastic water tanks sitting next to their homes from fracking for gas. We're the extraction colony at the other end of the pipe. We stand with you in solidarity. 7 years ago, a company called Laser Midstream came to our community and they installed a 16-inch gas line behind my home. They blew my 16-foot wide trout stream out 8 times over 2.5 months. First it was a 10-foot diameter hole, then a 20-foot diameter hole, then the 30-foot diameter hole. I knew it was getting attention when my sister called me from San Francisco that the backyard of our family's 185-year-old ancestral property was on the front page of the the San Francisco Chronicle. Don't let them tell you that they can do this right, because they can't do it. They obviously have problems. If 7 years ago they couldn't get a 16-inch pipe underneath my property and my neighbor's property, they can't do it here either. We stood up to them. I don't know about you, but Ayn Rand said, we can evade reality, but we cannot evade the consequences of evading reality. Governor Wolf is quite aware of this. He came to Dimock, I have a photograph here, he came to Dimock when he was candidate Wolf back on August 8th of 2014 and listened for 2 hours while the neighbors cried and told him the stories of their poisoned water. By the way, the water in Dimock has been poisoned for 10 years and it still comes out looking like this. 10 years. 14 years for our neighbors in southwestern PA. This is poison they're sending through this pipe. And we will not be extraction colony people to put your families at risk to send product to Scotland. I'm frankly embarrassed to be a Scottish ancestry, but I will tell you what, when it comes to this, I'm proud of it except for that part. Let me just hold this up because I do props, that's what I do. We had to sue the Commonwealth of DP to find out that they had poisoned over 2,000, at this time, this was in 2010, neighbors at the Commonwealth from drilling for oil and gas. This is nothing new. This product is brought by harming people like they're harming you. Sinkholes, and blowouts. They call them IRTSs, I call them blowouts. That's what the guys at the field call them. My reason to be here tonight is that I believe that if we all stand together, the extraction colony people, the pipeline people, the export terminal people, last year, the Attorney General let myself and 16 other people go to their office. They were opening a criminal and civil investigation. It's the largest investigation of its type in the history of the Commonwealth. It is still ongoing. And I recommend tomorrow morning you call the Attorney General's office and tell them to stop investigating and start incarcerating the people in charge of this. Governor Wolf, do your job or leave office. Scott Perry of DEP, do your job. PUC, stop stealing people's property for no valid reason. There is no reason for this pipe to have your property stolen. Governor Wolf, 61-year-old women should not have to climb up in trees in Southern Virginia to protect their property and live there now for 3 weeks. The sheriffs there surrounded her and her daughter, who's in another tree, and cut off their supply of water and food for the last 4 days. You can't get away with that under the Geneva Convention if you're a war criminal. I mean, if you're a person in a captured soldier. You can't do it in the United States if you're in prison, withhold water and food. We're getting tired of this. So we're going to stand up. Ayn Rand also said the question isn't who's going to let us, it's who's going to stop us. And nobody's going to stop us from stopping this disaster that they put in your backyard. Nobody's going to stop us from stopping the drill bits from poisoning us. And nobody's going to stop us from holding our elected officials accountable. They need to do their jobs and follow the Constitution of the Commonwealth and the United States, or they need to walk and put somebody in that position that will take care of us. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Craig. Next up is Rosemary Fuller, and the next three after that are Tim Speed, Bill Wegman, and Pam Onyx.
Hello everyone, I'm Rosemary Fuller and I'm not going to be able to hide this accent. I am from England, yes, but wait, it gets worse. My husband over there is from Scotland. So be nice to us, we're not going We live on Valley Road in Middletown Township and we're 150 feet from what's going to be all through pipelines. So in 2015, a Sunoco representative came to our home to ask us to sign a permanent easement for the Mariner East 2 pipeline. She just happened to be a notary public, so the paperwork could be signed off easily. She told us there would be no risk since these were only inert liquids and we wouldn't even notice they were there. Once construction began in 2017, we realized we'd been misinformed. We saw news reports about the dangers of the pipeline and the highly volatile liquids. Ugly construction sites popped up all along our road, even in our park. There were reports of permit violations, inadvertent returns, punctured aquifers, sinkholes, and contaminated private and public wells from our neighbors. We felt sick to our stomachs. What negative impact was ME2 going to have on our well, our safety, and our property? Our private well is our only source of water. Earlier this year, the DEP fined Sunoco $12.6 million and suspended permits due to egregious and willful violations. Over the past decade, Sunoco Logistics has spilled hazardous materials 296 times, more than any other pipeline, more than any of the 1,518 pipeline operators. These incidents resulted in almost $15 million of property damage. To our disbelief and mounting fear, a comprehensive independent risk assessment for this project had never been carried out. Or if it has, the public hasn't been allowed to see it. Nor was any emergency plan in place. Despite this, the project had been approved and permits had been issued. The NGLs flowing through ME2, ethane, propane, and butane, have no smell. If they leak, they expand into heavier than air gas clouds which hug the ground. There's no way for anyone to know there's a leak. If a nearby resident isn't immediately incinerated in a fireball, they'll probably be asphyxiated by a massive cloud of escaping gas. And yes, pipeline leaks do happen. In 2000, Sunoco leaked 190,000 gallons of oil into the John Hines National Wildlife Refuge at Tinicum. Sunoco's safety systems did not detect the leak, which was reported by a hiker in the wildlife refuge. The decision by all those in authority to not oppose the Mariner East 2 pipeline is a decision that may come back to haunt them. Public officials have a responsibility to protect their constituents. With all the information that's been presented to them at public meetings like this, it's going to be very difficult to convince a jury they weren't aware of the danger to their constituents. In the event of a Sunoco pipe explosion occurring, those same officials could become criminally and civilly liable should wrongful death suits be filed, like the 5 officials charged with involuntary manslaughter in Flint, Michigan. Despite repeatedly asking Governor Wolf for a comprehensive independent risk assessment and safety plan, we have received nothing. I implore you, Governor Wolf, please listen to us, talk to us. We, your constituents, are the sitting ducks of Sunoco's pipe bomb. The quality of our lives and the duration of our lives is at risk. Are you and our duly elected officials prepared to let that happen purely to protect Sunoco's profits? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rosemary. Next up is Tim Spees.
Hi, I'm Tim Spees. I'm with the group Lancaster Against Pipelines. And I'd like to talk to you tonight about several things, community being one of them. But let me start off real briefly by telling you how I got hooked into this movement. In 2014, when Williams announced they wanted to put a 42-inch high-pressure gas pipeline through Lancaster County, it was supposed to go through Tuckwam Glen and Schenck Ferry Wildflower Preserve, arguably some of the most beautiful places in south central Pennsylvania. So we cry a protest, blah, blah, blah. Make a long story short, Williams said, we'll move it, we won't go through there. So we congratulate ourselves, big victory. We pushed them back, little guy wins, David and Goliath, blah, 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 blah. Next morning on our Facebook page, somebody posted this: thanks, now it's in my orchard. I will never forget how that felt to me. It was like a punch in the gut, because I did that. We did that. So that's when Lancaster Against Pipelines made some decisions. We learned about the local harms. We learned about the HDD drilling. We learned about that was going through all these preserved farms, that was going through Native American archaeological sites that were precious. We decided no pipeline anywhere, period. It was for export, it's not needed, illegal use of eminent domain, it facilitates fracking, it contributes to climate change. And we will not discuss better siting. Some people in Conestoga wanted to go to FERC, and they actually thought the representatives in Conestoga would help them. And it was election year, so they said, yeah, we'll help. Well, they didn't get anywhere because FERC didn't listen. But they wanted to move the pipeline. They wanted Lancaster Against Pipelines to help them with that. And we said, no, we won't do that. We won't decide, and someone spoke highly of Senator Dinniman. I mean, God love him, God love you. I'm sorry. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to tell the truth. And the truth is Senator Dinniman supports fracking. Hold the water up, Craig. Senator Dinniman supports people living like that. He supports the oil and gas industry. And he talks about better siting of pipelines. What that means is some of the people in this room, it's okay to have a pipeline in their property. Some of the people not. Good God, who gets to make that decision? Not my senator. No one gets to make that decision. So early on in this movement, my personal mission was to consolidate and coordinate various anti-pipeline groups. We wanted to create, I saw creating one large conflagration instead of all these little fires. In West Virginia, Nexus Pipeline, Rover Pipeline, fracking, Marys, Pennies, Atlantic Sunrise, you name it, all over the mid-Atlantic states. We took our fledgling quilt to Virginia, Washington, D.C., New Jersey, and we established coordination and communication along the Atlantic Sunrise Pipeline. Ann Pinkett, who will speak shortly, is one of the leaders of I call our sister movement in Lebanon County. So finally, last Friday the 13th, we had a rally in Harrisburg. And I think I see now what I was hoping to see since I first heard the words Atlantic Sunrise over 4 years ago. The Better Path Coalition, which formed as of Friday the 13th last week, is, I believe, the best chance we have to turn things around and move us away from our present fossil fuel economy. So I'd like to talk about community. I mean, people talk about community. You look at a map, you see lines. You go up in an airplane, I don't see lines. So what does community mean to the folks in this room? Is it West Whiteland? Maybe. Is it Chester County? Possibly. Pennsylvania? Could be. Our nation? What about the community we call Earth? Maybe that should be the community that we're focused on now. So I'm here tonight to ask each and every one of you to find out how far outside your comfort zone you can go. Because for 4 years, I have not been comfortable. For 4 years, I'm a community actor in community theater in addition to a construction superintendent. I used to do 3 shows a year. I have not been on the stage for 4 years. And if anyone knows artists and actors, they know that's difficult. It's something I love to do. It's my life. And I have put it aside to do what I'm doing right now, as I know Craig has, as I know Ann has, and a lot of people in this room have. So anyway, I want you to find out where your comfort zone is, because this isn't just about a pipeline in Chester County. If that's all it is, it's just about your backyard, that's fine. You have a right to feel that way, and I don't criticize you. But it's also about fracked wells and cracker plants upstream that send the gas to Marcus Hook past your properties. It's about climate change and a greedy export system downstream. And above all, it's about the unholy marriage of corporations and politicians who value money more than they value your right to clean air, clean water, and the sanctity of your home and community. So, no one is going to fix this for us. Senator Dinniman is not going to fix this for us. Governor Wolf is not going to fix this for us. We are going to fix this for us. So to the various groups and individuals here tonight, I'd like to ask you and encourage you to figure out what your group's purpose is, your goal, your mission, because they may be different, and that's fine. If your mission is to stop a pipeline in your backyard, that's fine. I support that. But find out what your mission is, find out what you want to do, decide what you as an individual or a group is willing to do to affect change. And if you find that our message with this new coalition that we've started, if you find our message and mission appeals to you, then join the Better Path Coalition and help light a fire of change that they can't extinguish. We need you, and we need each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Pam Onyx is next.
Okay, I wrote this as if I were addressing Governor Wolf. Governor Wolf, I stand here as a lifelong resident of Pennsylvania to state that continued construction of the Sunoco Mariner 2 East pipeline without completion and analysis of a comprehensive risk assessment is negligent. I live in the retirement community of Hershey's Mill. My husband and I purchased a lovely home there 8 years ago after we retired from our careers. We liked the fact that we would be able to lock the door and travel, secure that our home would be safe in our absences. We felt that our new home would hold its value well, as homes in the community had for many years. A few months ago, we began to notice a lot of construction in our township and immediate environs adjacent to Hershey's Mill. We don't recall ever being notified that the pipeline was under construction or consideration. Beautiful ancient trees were being cut down with impunity. Great trenches were being dug. Travel on roads were impacted. And homes, churches, nursing homes, and schools suddenly encroached upon by the construction of this pipeline. I know that you pride yourself on being a governor dedicated to job creation, which is an admirable goal, Governor Wolf, but most of the work being done on the pipeline seems to be accomplished by transient temporary workers. An explosion could wipe out at least a square half-mile of life, history, our homes, our schools, our churches, and all living things within the blast zone. If the pipeline is finished and operational, we will not be willing to expose our grandchildren to this dangerous situation. Therefore, you will deprive us of having our grandchildren visit our home. As our governor, your primary responsibility is to protect the citizens of our great Commonwealth. We are being exposed to great potential risk by the proximity of this pipeline in our community. A comprehensive risk assessment needs to be completed before the pipeline can begin to transmit any highly explosive compressed liquid natural gases through Chester and Delaware counties en route to Marcus Hook. Fulfill your responsibilities to ensure the safety of the people of our Commonwealth by ordering this important risk assessment on ME2 now.
Thank you, Pam. Next up is Bill Wegman. And the next three after that are TJ Allen, Ann Pinka, and Phil Stover.
Hi, good evening. My name is Bill Wegman. I'm a resident of North Speakman Lane, the Bowtree Development in East Goshen and Westchester. Approximately 400 homes in my neighborhood, and I'm the closest in proximity to the Sunoco drilling rig at the corner of Boot Road and Route 352. Rig sits about 450 feet from my back door. Prior to my retirement 3 years ago, I spent 27 years at UPS as Industrial Engineering and Operations Manager. I'm well aware of the planning of large-scale projects, from siting authority to environmental concerns. Number one, my concern with Maritu project has grown extensively each month since the project behind my home has been undertaken. My concerns reached a tipping point when I attended a public meeting in this room on March 19th of this year. Some of you were here, you will remember that. With a packed house, members of the PUC, FERC, the DEP fielded questions and attempted to address concerns from residents. The representative from PUC, Paul Metro, the Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement, was by far the most knowledgeable and forthcoming of the panel members. The member from FERC gave canned responses challenging the audience use of blast zone rather than buffer zones when referring to potential impact areas, and the two members of the DEP were disappointingly ill-informed, evasive, and at one point told the homeowner to visit their website to get an answer to their concern. PUC member Paul Metro's words are very clear, and I quote, "There are no agencies in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania that have siting authority over pipelines. This was in response to why Sunoco was granted permission to run high-pressure natural gas liquids through a highly populated residential area. Concerning safety inspections, Mr. Metro stated, my department is made up of 21 engineers and we are data-driven. During my career as an industrial engineering manager, I was also data-driven. And here's my concern with the state of Pennsylvania at this point in time. The PUC, and I'm using their data, not mine, the PUC has 21 employees that enforce safety requirements for a total of 81,213 miles of pipeline in the state of Pennsylvania. Simple math determines that each engineer is responsible for 3,867 miles of pipeline to monitor. Note, the distance from Sacramento, California to New York City is 2,828 miles, or 1,000 miles less. Additional pipelines required in the state of Pennsylvania due to planned movement of product from the Marcellus Shale reserves is an additional 50,000 plus miles in the state. PUC Chairperson Gladys Brown has noted that the proposed budget for the coming year has asked for 2 additional staff in the Pipeline Safety Division. So in summary, what I gathered from this meeting on March 19th is that number one, there is no agency in Pennsylvania to approve siting authority of pipelines. Next, there's no specific requirements required when a company decides to repurpose an old pipeline, tripling the standard pressure with much more volatile product. Sunoco is responsible for monitoring the pipeline, the defects, and the leaks. Sunoco performs a risk assessment. Sunoco performs the integrity management studies. Sunoco develops the emergency awareness plan. Sunoco determines the radius of the buffer or blast zones that we know of. So my wife and I have raised our children in a home for the past 18 years, and since the drilling began last year, we have dealt with Sunoco's drilling lights shining directly in our windows, 12 hours of noise per day, vibrations in our home, dust on our siding that is so filthy that it will require power washing, not every 8 years as I've done in the past, but every 6 months. Once the drilling begins, we will most likely not be able to open our windows as we don't want the dirt in our home because we have no idea what's in it. I called Sunoco this week, and I informed them of the situation and that I will have the dirt tested by an independent lab. With all this said, my primary concern is for the safety of future residents in our community and the state of Pennsylvania. Left unchecked, big business can and will exercise their rights to develop their networks, and safety will not be the primary focus. Thank you.
Ann Pinka is up next. we're changing the lineup.
I was gonna say, I thought there was somebody up there. Good evening. My name is Ann Pinka, and I speak tonight on behalf of Lebanon Pipeline Awareness and concerned citizens of Lebanon County. Lebanon County has the unfortunate distinction of being the crossroads for the Mariner East and the Atlantic Sunrise projects, both currently under construction. More unfortunately, the same pipeline construction company is working on both pipelines, so we are experiencing double the destruction at the hands of Welded Construction LP, a firm based in Perrysburg, Ohio. We were introduced to Sunoco's Mariner East project through the alleged illegal construction of a pump station in West Cornwall Township, which remains under litigation after 3.5 years. Despite no final legal resolution, the station was constructed and began operation, in fact operating for about 3 years before it received its final air quality permit from DEP. Since last June, we've watched as Welded Construction blundered and gouged its way across our landscape. In Lebanon County, we have experienced 6 documented inadvertent returns, including 300 gallons of drilling mud in the Whiteland area at Middle Creek Wildlife Management Area, and 3 returns into the Smiths Creek, a stream officially proposed in 2016 for wild trout designation through the PA Fish and Boat Commission. We've also witnessed botched open cut stream crossings, including the sediment-related fish kill of 69 trout at a small hatchery operation along Bachman Run. In addition, blasting and excavation for the right-of-way in West Cornwall Township revealed or implemented the migration of legacy contamination from Sunoco operations dating back to 1940, resulting in the benzene contamination of a private water well. Sunoco has racked up 5 official notice of violations in Lebanon County. These do not stem from unavoidable accidents, but instead from flawed permits allowing HDB construction and karst geology, and also due to a systematic pattern of failure by Welded Construction to follow the rules. Inspection reports obtained from our conservation district reveal scores of repeated violations of simple construction processes, failure to implement or maintain BMPs, failure to comply with permit conditions. A company touting 50 years of experience of delivering high-quality pipeline construction services should do better than this. Discouraging as these violations have been, we realize they probably represent only a small percentage of what's actually happening, since we now know that there is only one DEP inspector on call for our 15-county region and one local conservation district inspector to cover the simultaneous construction of 2 major pipeline projects plus every other construction project in our county. It's clear to us that our government has failed us through the pursuit of these pipelines and this industry, and that our elected officials at all levels do not consider our environment, our properties, and our personal safety and health as the priorities that they need to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Phil Stober is up next, and the next 3 after that are Ralph Bloom, Susan Britton-Saylor, and Jim Salaba.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Also, there's another request just to be mindful of your volume. We're still having some trouble. So, yeah, no, close. Yeah, close and loud. Speak to you.
Okay, I'll probably have no problem doing that. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Phil Stober, and my wife Barbara, my sister Marcia, and I own and operate Barefoot Organics at Greystone Farm, a USDA certified